Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Sutta Uvacha.
Sutta Uvacha.
Evam.
Evam.
Abhashataha.
Abhashataha.
Prishta. Sa. Ragya. Slakshnaya. Gira. Pratyabhashata. Dharmagya. Bhagavan. Padarayani. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, the appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. This is the last sloka in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sloka number 40. Sri Sutta Goswami said, Sutu Vacha, Evam Vibhashata Prishta, Saragya Slakshnaya Gira, Pratya Bhashata Dharmagyo, Bhagavan Padarayani, Sutu Vacha, Evam Vibhashata Prishta, Saragya Slakshnaya Gira, Pratyabhashata Karmagyo, Bhagavan Padarayanihi, Sutu Vacha, Evam Vibhashata Prishta, Saragya Slakshnaya Gira, Pratyabhashata Dharmagyo, Bhagavan Padarayanihi,
Sutta
Vacha,
Evam Abhashita Prishta, Saragya Slakshnaya Gira, Pratyabhashata Dharmagyo, Bhagavan Padarayanihi,
Sutta Uvacha Evam Abhashita Prishta Saragya Shlakshnaya Gira Pratya Bhashata Dharmagyo Bhagavan Padarayanihi Sutta Uvacha Evam Abhashita Prishta Saragya Shlakshnaya Gira Pratyabha Shatadharmagyo Bhagavan Padarayanihi Sutta uvacha
Sute vacha
evam abhasita prishta
evam vipashita prishta
saragya shlakshnaya gira
aragya slakshnaya gira
pratyabhashata dharmagyo
pratyabhashita samagyo
Bhagavan Badarayanihi
Bhadaran Bhadarayani
Sutta
Sute vacha
evam abhasita prishta
evam vipashita prishta
saragya shlakshnaya gira pratyabhashata dharmagyo Bhagavan Badarayanihi Sutta uvacha
Sute vacha
evam abhashita prishta
evam vipashita prishta
saragya shlakshnaya gira pratyabhashata dharmagyo Bhagavan Badarayanihi
Bhagavan Bhattarayani
Sutta uvacha
Sute vacha
evam abhashita prishta
evam vipashita prishta
saragya shlakshnaya gira
sarvagya lakshnaya gira
pratyabhashata dharmagyo
pratyabhashita dharmagyo
Bhagavan Badarayanihi
Bhadarayani
Sutta uvacha
Sute vacha
evam abhashita prishta
Vishta
saragya shlakshnaya gira pratyabhasata dharmagyo Bhagavan Badarayanihi
Bhadarayani
Sutta uvacha
vacha
evam abhashita prishta
evam vipashita prishta
saragya slakshnaya gira
sarvagya lakshnaya gira
pratyabhashata dharmagyo
pratyabhashita dharmagyo
Bhagavan Badarayanihi
Bhagavan Bhattarayani
Sutta uvacha
Sute vacha
evam abhasita prishta
evam vipashita prishta
saragya shlakshnaya gira
sarvagya lakshnaya gira
pratyabhasata dharmagyo
pratyabhashita dharmagyo
Bhagavan Badarayanihi
Bhagavan Bhattarayani Sutu Vacha Sri Sutta Goswami said, Evam thus, Abhashata being spoken, Prishta and asked for, Sa he, Ragya by the king, Slakshnaya by sweet, Gira language, Pratyabhashata began to reply, Dharmagya, one who knows the principles of religion, Bhagavan, the powerful personality, Badarayani, son of Vyasadeva. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Sri Sutta Goswami said, the king thus spoke and questioned the sage using sweet language. Then the great and powerful personality, the son of Vyasadeva, who knew the principles of religion, began his reply. So this is a very important scenario. We have the perfect disciple, Maharaj Pariksit, questioning the perfect spiritual master, Sukadeva Goswami. And they're both exemplary personalities, and they're both Mahabhagavatas, but one has chosen to become the disciple of the other. And unless one is submissive, unless one surrenders to the spiritual master, there's no benefit in asking him questions. But we see that Sukadeva Goswami, because he was a surrendered soul to Vyasadeva, he received perfect knowledge, and Maharaj Pariksit, because he was surrendered to Sukadeva Goswami, he also received perfect knowledge. Just like if a husband is potent and the wife is not sterile, if the wife is fertile, as soon as there's sexual intercourse, there's child. And similarly, if the spiritual master is qualified, he knows the principles of religion, he knows the science of Krishna, and the disciple is surrendered to the spiritual master, there's a nice transmission of knowledge. And the fruit of this transmission of knowledge is Srimad Bhagavatam, this immortal Krishna Katha. This word, Slakshnaya Gira, is important. Using sweet language, Sukadeva Goswami was questioned by Maharaj Pariksit. Sometimes people would ask Srila Prabhupada questions, and Srila Prabhupada would say, I'm not a question and answer machine. Just by asking me a question does not automatically mean I'll give you an answer. When Srila Prabhupada came to New Vrindavan, he held darshans, and there were devotees from all over America. There are many Radha Damodar traveling Sankirtan devotees who are under the supervision of Tamal Krishna Goswami, and Vishnu Jan Maharaj came to New Vrindavan to have darshan of Srila Prabhupada, and they're all eager to have Prabhupada's association, but some of the questions were not very pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. One of my godbrothers asked Srila Prabhupada a question about Sarup city, and Srila Prabhupada challenged him, what is this Sarup city? You have so many bad habits, you have so many anarthas. First, correct your anarthas, then you could understand Sarup city. And one other disciple asked him a question about Paramatma, and Prabhupada said, what is this question? You don't read my books? You don't know the answer to this question? He said, you have come here simply to disturb me. So Srila Prabhupada said, if just by studying his books, one can get the answers to all the questions. Just by studying two books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, all the important questions are answered very clearly, very authoritatively. The first Krishna conscious literature I received was in Santa Fe, New Mexico. A traveling Sankirtan devotee gave me a Back to Godhead magazine, and I kept that for a long time. But that Back to Godhead didn't change my life. But a few months after that, I came to the Pittsburgh Hare Krishna Center, and there was a devotee there. I forget his Sanskrit name, but he was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and he said he was originally from Los Angeles, and he has sold me a copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is. And that book, once I opened it and started reading it, I couldn't put it down. and it actually changed my life. It opened up my eyes to a whole new world, the whole spiritual realm. So I'm ever grateful to that Prabhupada's the disciple from the Pittsburgh temple. And by reading that book, Prabhupada's books are arranged in such a way with the original Sanskrit text and the Roman transliteration, the English word for word equivalents, and English translation and elaborate purports. This is a authoritative and scholarly way of presenting the Vedic literature. And His Holiness Dhanava Goswami, I saw he is also continuing that tradition of translating the Sanskrit literature with the elaborate purports in the same tradition as the previous acharyas. This is a very authoritative and scholarly way, and it convinces many scholars and philosophers and scientists that this Krishna consciousness movement is authorized. Thus then, the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 19th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Appearance of Shukadeva Goswami, end of the first canto. There's no purport here, so I'll go on to the invocation of the second canto. The second canto is full of nectar. The four nutshell verses of Srimad Bhagavatam are contained in the second canto. Invocation is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om,
Om.
O my Lord, Nama, my respectful obeisances unto you. Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead. Vasudevaya,
Vasudevaya.
unto Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudeva.
Lord Krishna, son of Vasudeva.
Translation, by His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O my Lord, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. Vasudevaya means to Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. As by chanting the name of Krishna, Vasudeva, one can achieve all the good results of charity, austerity, and penances. So by the chanting of this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, it is to be understood that the author or the speaker or any one of the readers of Srimad Bhagavatam is offering respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, the reservoir of all pleasure. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the principles of creation are described, and as such, the first canto can be called creation. Similarly, in the second canto, the post-creation cosmic manifestation is described. The different planetary systems are described in the second canto as different parts of the universal body of the Lord. For this reason, the second canto can be called the cosmic manifestation. Jai Shri Sri Gaur Nitai. There are 10 chapters in the second canto, and in these 10 chapters, the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam and the different symptoms of this purpose are narrated. In the first chapter, the glories of chanting are described, and the process of meditation on the universal form of the Lord by the neophyte devotees is hinted. In this first verse, Shukadeva Goswami replies to the questions of Maharaj Parikshit, who asked him about one's duties at the point of his death. Maharaj Parikshit was glad to receive Shukadeva Goswami, and he was proud of being a descendant of Arjuna, the intimate friend of Krishna. Personally, he was very humble and meek, but he expressed his gladness that Lord Krishna was very kind to the sons of Pandu, or his grandfathers, especially his own grandfather, Arjuna. And because Lord Krishna is always pleased with his family, therefore, at the verge of Maharaj Parikshit's death, Sukadeva Goswami was sent to help him in the process of self-realization. Maharaj Parikshit was a devotee of Lord Krishna from his childhood, so he had natural affection for Krishna, and Sukadeva Goswami could understand his devotion to Lord Krishna. Therefore, he welcomed the questions about his duty. Because the king hinted that worship of Lord Krishna is the ultimate function of every living entity, Sukadeva Goswami welcomed this suggestion and said, because you have raised questions about Krishna, your question is most glorious. The translation of the first verse is as follows. So Maharaj Parikshit questioned Sukadeva Goswami about the duty of everyone in all circumstances, and specifically, what is the duty of a man who's about to die? And these are very important questions, and these questions are the basis of this entire 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. And different transcendentalists are trained to meditate on different things at the moment of death. The Brahmavadis, they're trained, sometimes they're trained from childhood as brahmacharis to try to meditate on Brahman. So if one attains perfection as an impersonalist, he can achieve the spiritual sky. He can achieve Brahman if he thinks of Brahman at the time of death. And one was more elevated, the Paramatmavadis, they meditate on the Lord in the heart, on the Paramatma. And they also attain perfection, but the perfection they attain is not the highest perfection, because only the devotees of Bhagavan, Sri Krishna, are allowed to enter the highest planet, Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan. So the realizations of the Brahmavadis, even though they undergo many difficulties and many austerities, they practice celibacy, their diet is very regulated and very simple. They dedicate their lives to serving the spiritual master. Still, after undergoing so much trouble, the result is they can understand the eternity aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the higher aspects, the knowledge and bliss aspects, remain unknown to them. Whereas by engaging in Bhakti Yoga is a very easy process, just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I can attain the highest perfection without undergoing any severe penances or austerities. This is the mercy of the Panchatattva and the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who came to freely distribute love of Krishna even to the most fallen souls of this Kali Yuga. Are there any comments or questions? Yes, Magadari Prabhu.
I think it was in the... Well, I have one clarification. Were you reading from like an introduction to the second canto?
Yes, this is called the invocation, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And the same invocation was there at the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the beginning of the first canto.
Is that something that Prabhupada is putting there? Or is that something that Shukadeva Goswami actually said?
the speaker here is Sutta Goswami, and Sutta Goswami is presenting what he has heard from Shukadev Goswami. And the same mantra was given to Dhruva Maharaj by Narada Muni. This is a Vedic mantra. And Lord Chaitanya said in the Sikshastika that, my Lord, you have hundreds of millions of names, like Krishna and Govinda, and these names are invested with all your transcendental potencies. So Vasudeva is another name of Krishna, and Adi Sankaracharya addressed Krishna, that there are many, many Krishnas, but Shankaracharya addressed the specific Krishna who is the son of Devaki's Sutta. So Krishna is sometimes called Devaki Sutta, sometimes called Nanda Sutta. Sometimes Krishna is called Vasudevaya, the son of Vasudeva. Yes, Dr. Maharaj.
Vasudeva can also refer to the Lord whose residence is everywhere, all pervasive.
Yes.
So Vasudeva, it's like there's that brief discussion between Radha and Krishna, and she was asking, where's your vas? She was referring, vas meaning your garment, your clothes, and he took it as residence. So he said, my residence is as your beautiful eyes. And she said, no, I mean, so this way they went through different meanings for the word vas.
Yes, thank you very much, Maharaj. The Sanskrit words have many meanings. Sanskrit's a perfect language. And every theist recognizes that God is everywhere, God is all-pervading. So other theists understand that God is great, but in the Vedic literature we can understand the details of how great God is. Stamadar, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. Please accept my humble obeisances. I was wondering if you could talk about the difference between someone who's Brahman realized versus someone who's Krishna conscious. You could just talk about that a little bit. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, there's perfection, perfect, more perfect than most perfect. One can achieve perfection. Perfection can mean free from the modes of material nature and free from the false identification of this material body. And those who want to merged into the existence of the Lord, they're under the last snare of Maya. They become free from the influence of the modes of material nature, but without transcendental activities, there's every chance of falling down again to the material platform. Just like there are many Mayavadi sannyasis who give up this world as false. Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. The Vaishnavas also give up attachment to this material world, but we don't say the world is false. We say the world is temporary and it's full of miseries. Every great acharya has this realization that this material world is full of miseries. Lord Buddha said the same thing, don't be attached to this material world. Jesus Christ, Muhammad, they all said that this world is temporary and full of miseries. Jesus said, heaven and earth will pass away, but my word will remain forever. Jesus was talking about the Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is eternal. It's Sanatan Dharma, whereas other so-called faiths, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, they have a beginning in the annals of history, and anything that has a beginning in history also has an end. If there's no beginning and no end to Sanatana Dharma, and Parikka Maharaj questioned Sukadeva Goswami because he knows the principles of Dharma, he knows the principles of religion, and that religion is stated in Bhagavad Gita 1866. Give up all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me, and I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. So this is real religion. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Religion is defined very simply by Srila Prabhupada, who said that religion means the laws of God. The academic scholars, they have, each academic has his own definition of religion. They're constantly arguing what actually does religion mean. They have no conclusive answer because they're on a platform of mental speculation. They don't accept the Shastras. So Sanatana Dharma means the capacity to render service. So this Sanatana Dharma is universally applicable to every living entity. Every living entity is eternally in a position of rendering service. None of us can say that I'm free from the need to render service. In the beginning of our lives, Jai Sisi Gurnatai, we're rendering service to our brothers and sisters and father and mother and other elderly persons in the family. Then when we grow up, we submit to our teachers in the public schools or in the universities, and some people, after their education is finished, they enter the military or they enter politics, which they call public service, and they're rendering service to their citizens, to their subjects. The king is rendering service to all the living entities in this kingdom. Just like Maharaj Parikka, he was respected as the king because he was a perfect servant of all the pragya, all the citizens. And in the Vedas, the pragya, or the citizens, is a broad concept. All the animals and the trees and plants, everyone, all the spirit souls are considered as subjects of the king, and the king's duty is to give protection to all the living entities. Is that all right? And yeah.
In the invocation purport, there is a statement about Maharaj Parikshit he was personally humble, but he was proud that Krishna was kind to his forefathers. So how can we translate this principle to our lives as sadhakas in ISKCON?
Well, this is an important question because there's a fine line between being proud of being members of ISKCON and being personally proud. And if one understands, if one realizes I'm not this body, that means my actual position is I'm 1/10,000th part of the tip of a hair. So my actual size is infinitesimal, whereas Krishna is infinite. Krishna is called Vasudeva, like Maharaj pointed out, that Vasudeva means all-pervading. So how great Krishna is, he's all-pervading, and I'm 1/10,000th part of the tip of a hair. I'm so small that even with the most powerful microscope, I remain invisible. So I have nothing to be proud of. It's time for this Sankirtan festival. All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
So now for the pleasure of their lordships Sri Sri Gaurnitai, Tulsi Maharani, Srila Prabhupada, the Sampradaya Acharyas, the assembled devotees, the not assembled devotees. Lord Nrsimhadev. And Prabhupada's books. We have for this week 4 book distributors. In fourth position, with 2, this week we have 4 book distributors. And now their score for the pleasure of Sri Sri Gaurnitai. In fourth position, we have with 2 small books, 2 medium books, 2 big books, 2 Maha big books, for 7.5 book points, Mridanga Prabhu. Hari Bol. Yeah. And we have some sweets here for all the devotees. In third position, with 14 small, 13 big books, 15 Maha big books, for 46.5 book points, Bhaktavatar Prabhu. Hari Bol. What was it? Oh. Okay. In fourth position, in third, we just got another score. Okay, so we have 5 book distributors. Now coming in fourth position with 15 small books, 2 medium books, 3 big books, 2 Maha big books, for a total of 11.75 book points. Magadari Prabhu. Hari Bol. Bhakta Avatar Prabhu is now in third position. Coming in quick at second position with 23 small books, 17 medium books, 10 big books, and 19 Maha big books, for a total of 62.25 book points. Bhakta Damodar Prabhu. Hari Bol. In first position with 4 Arabic small books, 35 small books, 3 medium books, 27 big books, and 34 Maha big books, for a total of 117.25 book points, Rishi Kumar Das. And the Rupanuga Vedic College total is, I'm just adding this one too. So 89 small books, 24 medium books, 55 big books and 62 Maha big books for a total of 245 book points. Haribol. My highlight for this week was I went to UMKC on Monday morning, and it was cold and there weren't too many people. Or no, this was Tuesday morning. And the first boy I met, he was saying, he was just kind of preaching to me a lot. And then he was saying, you know why people don't surrender to God? And I said, because they want to be God. And he said, no, it's because they don't know that this is available. And it's so great that you guys are coming out here and doing this. And this is so important. And like this, he just went on. And he's like, I've got this Bible study group and this and that. And I gave him the Bhagavad Gita, and he gave a nice donation. And he said he wants to, like, be in touch. So it's a cool guy. Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai.
Haribol. So Bhakti-Avatar and I, we went to Walmart. Bhakti-Avatar and I, we went to Walmart. And there was some lady there, she had an Om chatter on. So I just took it as an opportunity to go and preach to her. And she took a Krishna book, Bhagavad Gita, a few big book, SSR probably, and some else. So Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. We were at a place, and I don't remember where, but I met a nice man, and he was he studied religion, but he himself was a Christian. And I was preaching to him, and he started preaching to us about Jesus, and I tolerated it for a little bit, and then he said he had a Bhagavad Gita, so he didn't want to take mine. But I said, is it this one that you have? And he said, no. And he said, well, I really like you to have this one because, maybe those other Gitas, they don't actually teach you the proper understanding of the Bhagavad Gita. So I said, I feel like you'd really appreciate this one because it actually is teaching about a personal God and that we have to surrender to the personal God. And he took it and then gave a donation for it. So Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. So let me look real quick. I wasn't prepared. So we've been talking to some people that we meet on books, and Damodar Prabhu had contact with one Mr. Davis, and Davis was a really nice person, and I guess he got some pamphlets. He didn't get any books, but he gave his number to the devotees, to Bhakti Damodar, and Bhakti Damodar was being friendly with him and invited him for lunch. And he came for lunch, Davis, and we sat, had some prasad, and we learned how to enter the temple and offer respects. And we chanted japa and talked some philosophy. And at the end, he received Bhagavad Gita as it is. And he also gave a nice donation of $20. And he also got a japa bag and some beads. So Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
So we went to this mall, this old, like abandoned, almost abandoned mall. It's not abandoned, but it was like no customers hardly in there. Just the salespeople, the different stores, a few people around, but hardly anyone. And then, so I went into the Boost. They had a phone shop, Boost Mobile, and I saw one of the guys was Indian. The other one was like from Pakistan or somewhere. He looked Muslim. So I gave the Bhagavad Gita, and I was telling him about the Bhagavad Gita, the Indian. I took some convincing for him to take it. He kept saying, "Oh, I know already this, I have this else. I know already." But I convinced him to take one and just give $5. And then the other one, he said, "How much is it? How much is it?" And I said, "Well, just a donation, actually it's priceless. So, and the more that you give to Krishna, Krishna gives you back 10 times more." So he gave $5, and hearing that, the Muslim guy said, "Give $5 for me too." and he said, "I give to you tomorrow," because he didn't have it with him. So he said, "I'll give you tomorrow." And so I said, "All right," and I gave him the Bhagavad Gita too. But he said, "No, I'll share his." So then we went over to this other. So then I met with the devotees who had just come in the mall, because I was like the first one in there, and I did that. And so I was on, already just to be positive and not let the lack of people like bring me down. I just immediately went and engaged to get off the mental platform, and it turned out positive, successful. So then the other devotees came in, Damodar and Bhaktavatar, and so we went together over to this guy who was selling like some T-shirts, designer clothing, a few things, like a little homemade business, a little private homemade business, some. And we showed him a SSR, and he reached down beyond the counter and pulled one up and said, "Oh, I have this one already." So the devotees had been by there before and had given him one, even though it's a very unlikely place for that was a big surprise that he had already had a book. So Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.
I gave him that book like a year ago, and he was really happy, and he gave me some of his T-shirts along with the donation. His brand was called something like Water the Root, Deep Rooted. Yeah, so we were talking about the analogy that we always give about how Krishna is the root of everything. Did you?
I don't have a phone. Oh, yeah. So we went to the New Landing Mall, and there's a kid's Foot Locker in there, so I went in there, and I started talking to two of the gentlemen inside, and we started talking about the books, and I told them about the books. I put in their hands some books, and one of them said that they already got the books, so he just gave me the books back. But the other one was kind of interested in what I was talking about, so I told him more about the Bhagavad Gita and how it's more on meditation and yoga, and I told him the backstory a little bit, and yeah, he seemed really interested in it, so he took it and he helped out. So he was 17 years old. Oh yeah, he gave the donation through. It was funny because he didn't have any cash, or he didn't have a cash app, so he had to manually enter the card number into the Square app. So he had a card, but it was like it didn't have a chip, and it was a swipe card. It was like a debit card. So.
Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.